Hi friends, myself Professor Baliyan will tell you today about the online program for IAS preparation, the ideas behind Foresight IAS, how can you get benefited by it, and how can it help you in making your preparation easier and more systematic. Friends, I'm involved into civil service preparation since last 15 years. And if you know, the civil service examination is one of the toughest examinations in the world. It is considered to be most demanding competition. You have to prepare many subjects exhaustively. You may not be the master of any subject, but you have to have a good command over all the subjects. So in this video, I'll explain you how can you prepare for the examination in a much more effective manner, and how can you guarantee your success in the very first attempt if you are deciding to take civil services as your career. Gentlemen, civil service examination is a three-stage process comprising the prelims, the main exam, and the interview. As you know, the next examination in front of us is the prelims exam. So in this video, I'll explain you how to prepare for PT, what kind of precautions you have to keep in your mind, and how can you maximize your score, and how to attempt maximum questions. In prelims examination earlier, we used to have two papers, that is GS and Civil Services Aptitude Test. This GS is what is GS paper 1 and this is paper 2. The papers are the same even today, but as per the recent notification, UPSC has made the paper number 2 as qualifying paper. It means the score of paper 2 won't be added with paper 1 to make the merit list for the candidates to select for the mains examination. It means your selection or rejection for main examination will depend only on the score of GS paper 1. Paper 2 will be just for qualifying. As per the notification, you have to score just 33% marks here, and if you score here, paper 1 will be evaluated, and then as per the marks, you will be put in the list. As per the list, candidates will be selected for main examination and then final for interview. Now as the rules have changed, so with the change of rule, you have to modify the way you prepare, the way you target your syllabus. In 2010, this pattern of CSET and GS was introduced by removing optionals. So in the last 3 years, 11, 12, 13, 14, in fact 4 years, the cutoff used to be something around, let's say it was 198 marks in one. That time it increased to next year to 209 marks out of 400. Third year it was around 240 out of 400. And last year also, if you take the net one, it was around 245 only out of 400. So every year the cutoff is increasing quite significantly. But in this case, around 60% at the most was quite sufficient to get a call for main examination. But as the rules have changed, you have to depend only on paper 1, as every serious candidate will focus only on GS. So this percentage is expected to increase to something around 65% from the 60%. Every candidate will be focusing only on paper 1, so the level of competition will definitely go up, and demand would be something around 65%. Without 65%, you cannot be really assured of your call for the main examination. So how to get 65% marks? 130 net out of 200, that is what makes 65%. I'll discuss the strategy to score 130 out of 200 so that you can be assured that you'll get a call for main examination and you can move ahead to the interview. In prelims, there are 6 main subjects. One is history and culture. Second is geography. Third is ecology and environment. Fourth is Indian polity. Fifth is Indian economy. And number 6 is general science. All these 6 subjects are almost equally divided. Roughly about 20 to 25% comes from here. Geography about 10 to 12%. Environment ecology something around 7 to 20%. Indian polity about 8 to 10%. And economy again around 18 to 20%. And a similar score of around 18 to 20% out of your science portion. All the questions what you have negative marking. Means for every wrong answer you have to lose 0.3% or you can say 33% marks. 30% marks means one question carries 2 marks. It means if you make a mistake, you'll be losing not only these 2 marks, but 33% of that, something around, let's say, of the 2, you'll be losing something around 0.67 marks extra. Means each question is going to cost you around 2.67 marks. So at all costs you have to avoid mistakes. At all costs you have to attempt questions sufficient enough to get 65 net or 65% net. How can you do that? Just have a look here. When we attempt prelims examination, you have a set of 100 questions. Every time out of these 100 questions are of 3 categories. Some questions are quite easy. These questions will fall something around 25 to 30 out of 100. Some questions are of moderate difficulty. These questions would be something around 40 to 45, again out of 100. The remaining questions will have high level of difficulty. The remaining one, something around 25 to 30 questions, would be of very high level of difficulty. When you go for PT examination, you have to ensure that all of these are correct. You mark these questions correctly, because the moment you mark one question wrong, your next competitor, your friend sitting by the side of you, will not be missing this question. It means if you miss one question, if you miss 2.67 marks, at least 25,000 students will be crossing you. You can say every mark will be putting you ahead or behind at least 10,000 candidates. Number of candidates appearing is something around 5 lakh. Number of candidates will be qualifying for mains examination with something around 15 to 18,000. It means your job is to cross something around 4.8 lakh candidates you have to cross. Miss one mark, you'll be behind 10,000. You cannot afford to miss any question. So you have to agree that all of these easy questions are 100% correct without any kind of difficulty. Now, here, the accuracy has to be around 80%. You may miss one or two questions, but you have to be good in about 80% of questions. 80% means if we end up here around 30 to 35 questions, we do 25, 30 that side, it means we have a sum of around 57 to 60 questions. And now you have to use your skills to get something out of this, at least 25% net. Get out of them. If you can get something around 5 to 10 questions, it means you'll get the score of 65. That's the target that you have to keep in your mind. That without getting 65%, you will not be very sure of your call for the main examination. Now see further how to attempt questions correctly. What kind of precautions you have to have in your mind while attempting questions. Number 1, read all the 4 options carefully. When you have a question in front of you, do not jump to the conclusion just by having a look at the option number 1 or option number 2. Because in UPSC the options are very close. Very close to each other. So you may have the next one as a better option. So you have to read all the 4 options properly. Then only you tick the answer. Then only you tick the right answer on your question paper. First tick on your question paper, so that you can put the circle properly on the answer sheet that you have to submit to UPSC. Tick on the question paper. Do not go immediately to the answer sheet. Otherwise you may have a mistake. You may think it's B, you may mark a C in the answer sheet. Secondly, when you go to the questions, identify the easy questions in one go. Easy questions in first reading. Don't try to solve every question. Look at what are the questions which are easiest. You'll find 25-30 will be very easy. You can just have a look, you can mark the right answer. So in the first go, try to find these easiest questions so that you have done the first part. Thereafter, go for the moderate difficult questions. So while you read the first time, divide questions in 3 categories. Number 1, you are 100% sure. Number 2 category, that you have to think again. You have to give a second thought. Number 3rd category, you have not heard of that. You can have, as per your comfort, you can have indicators. You could be 100% correct. This could be circle, doubtful. This could be something which you have to mark a star. Maybe you won't have to invest too much of time in that. Go for the easier one. Identify, tick them up. Go to the answer sheet. Mark on the answer sheet properly, carefully, so that each circle you have put on the answer sheet properly. Come back for the second reading. Now look at the moderate one. What you have put circle. Okay, you have to give a thought. At times you may not know the right answer. Then you have to use the elimination method. Elimination method means eliminate the wrong one instead of finding the right one. So you may have some idea that it cannot be C or D. So you'll be zeroing up to the 2 options. So use your elimination method. Use your selection method. If you are sure, go positively. Find which is the right answer. If you are not very sure, use elimination method. Find which cannot be the answer. Then zero down to others, and you'll end up with the right answer quite easily. When you come to the 4th reading, that is the most difficult questions, try to take 50% guess. If you are sure that out of A and C, one is the answer, B and D cannot be the answers, then go for 50% guess. Don't go for beyond 50%. Because if you make 50% guess, you attempt 20 questions and 10 are wrong. 10 are wrong means you will be getting something around, let's say 10 net, 3.3 penalty, so you'll be having 6.7 as a positive. So our net should be positive, our net should not go down to negative in any case. If you follow these precautions, if you use these methods, then PT will not be very difficult to you. And this platform, what we have created, is to have those candidates who cannot come to Delhi, who have to go to school, college, or those who are office goers. So in this platform, we'll be providing you all kind of assistance from beginning to the end for your prelims examination, for your mains examination, for your interview preparation, step by step, so that the very first attempt that you go for examination is fruitful and you make it count. Thank you.